you just joined us on the System After Dark, this is a homegrown number courtesy of E3 and Cracker.
Bulla, how's it going? I'm D, your host on the System After Dark, right here on Today FM. Today's hit music. You can catch me weeknights at 7 p.m. That's from Monday to Friday, only on the home of Today's hit music. And don't forget, that's D with you every weeknight on the System After Dark. Even got that homebrew flowing.
Good evening, this is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. In the news tonight, EU to restore full development cooperation with Fiji. Health Ministry develops response plan to MERS virus and new bottled water plant plan for Rao. The European Union aims to restore full development cooperation with Fiji. Fiji's Green Growth Framework is part of discussions at the 38th session of the African Caribbean Pacific Parliamentary Assembly, currently underway at the Grand Pacific Hotel in Suva. Maggie Boyle tells us more.
After a lapse of 8 years, the European Union is now working towards full development cooperation with Fiji to cover the next 5 years. EU Head of Delegation for the Pacific, Ambassador Andrew Jacobs, says Fiji is an important partner, and this is why the European Commissioner Nevin Mimsa will personally be in country to seal the deal.
The Commissioner will meet the Prime Minister on Monday morning for a courtesy call, but also, and very importantly, to sign with the Prime Minister an agreement on our new cooperation programme with Fiji, which takes us up to 2020. This is called the National Indicative Programme. It carries a budget for bilateral support of 29 million euros. It's focusing on sugar and agriculture, as well as governance, particularly access to justice.
In addition to the bilateral arrangements, the Commissioner will be involved in the EU-ACP Joint Parliamentary Assembly, which will initiate a political dialogue with Fiji, the first of its kind. Also on the table is regional funding support, a deal that Fiji is expected to benefit from too.
That's a very significant programme. It carries a budget of 166 million euros from here until 2020, focusing on the environment and sustainable development, as well as on regional economic integration and governance issues.
It will be the first trip to the Pacific by the European Commissioner, who was appointed in November of last year. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Fiji's Green Growth Framework is part of discussions at the 38th session of the African Caribbean Pacific Parliamentary Assembly, currently underway at the Grand Pacific Hotel in Suva. The framework is Fiji's guide to achieving sustainable development. Fiji's councillor to the EU, Narendra Singh, says Fiji will put the framework to the meeting to gather their response, as the issues in it are important to all ACP member countries.
The theme cuts across a number of our ACP colleagues and partners. And I think the concerns of that government has, as a small island developing states, will be voiced over in these ensuing meetings. And I think we can create sort of a common position on a number of issues, that challenges that we face right now.
The ACP meetings, which started yesterday, are addressing specific issues of direct relevance to member countries. The outcome would be to put to the joint ACP-EU Parliamentary Assembly next week for deliberations. The Health Ministry has a response plan to track down the Middle East respiratory syndrome virus should it reach our shores. South Korea and Hong Kong have reported cases of MERS, and Fiji has direct flights to both the countries. Spokesperson Sunil Chandra says they're working with the multi-agency task force group and have developed a response plan. Although the risk of the virus entering the country is very low, the ministry is not taking it lightly. Chandra says surveillance at the border and the ports of entry has been increased. MERS is a severe pneumonia-like respiratory disease caused by a virus. The virus has claimed 9 lives in South Korea and 3,500 people have been quarantined. The Land Transport Authority will continue with internal investigations to identify employees who are involved in corrupt practices. The Fiji Independent Commission Against Corruption prepared a report into LTA and found irregularities in its operations. Ali Kimbia has more.
The Land Transport Authority was recently scrutinized by the Fiji Independent Commission Against Corruption.
Probably about 20% will be processed for corruption-related issues. But about 80% of complaints received by them, allegations, and are all to do with bad customer service.
Tuinadebo says disciplinary action will be taken against those who engage in corrupt dealings and bad customer services. He says the onus is on LTA officials to lift the standard of their service delivery to the public.
We have to do a better job on that department, on that area, because people will continue to come, being treated badly. The only thing that will come to the back of their mind, this is corruption.
FBC News asked some members of the public about their perception of LTA service delivery.
You have to liaise with the police before doing the work, especially on the road.
I think probably LTA is currently doing a good job. However, they may need more resources to up their service skills.
You can see when you go to the office, there's a lot of people waiting out there, and maybe that will tell you how the service deliver is all about.
As the Land Transport Authority works towards this mandate, one of its priority is to improve its service delivery to the people. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
British Prime Minister David Cameron is refreshing his approach to foreign policy to define Britain's placing in the world. Cameron, who was recently re-elected to office for another term, is looking at building stronger ties with Fiji and the Pacific. Ritika Pratap reports.
The British government is looking at ways to effectively maintain its presence in the Pacific, including Fiji.
So I think here we're building on the solid relationship we have already with Fiji and with our other partners here in the Pacific, and looking to take that forward to new heights, looking to identify areas of mutual interest, mutual benefit, where we can work together here, work together in international fora.
High Commissioner Roderick Drummond says the British government is continuing to provide technical support in many areas.
We're still doing a lot to support embedding democratic practices and strengthening democratic institutions here. So we're still providing support to the political parties and Parliament. I think we'll be doing some media training in this next year to again help with freedom of expression.
Drummond says 1,700 Fijian personnel are working for the British Army, and they are working to further enhance defence relations. He says they will continue to develop their cooperation with the Fiji military forces and police to help improve the professionalism and the capacity because of the important role they play in international peacekeeping as well as safeguarding Fiji. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
An American company is investing close to $140 million in a new water bottling facility in Ra. The project has been 5 years in the making, and with final approvals, the construction is expected to begin later this year.
480 Holdings Limited is the newest entrant in Fiji's thriving bottled water sector. Their factory is expected to start producing and exporting towards the end of 2017.
For the last 5 years, we've done nothing but work with the ministries who have been very supportive in moving this project forward. Now we're at a point that's getting ready to start.
The facility will be located near the internationally renowned Fiji water plant, an intimidating sign of increasing competition.
Obviously, Fiji Water has done a wonderful job around the world, branding your country as a source for the best water on the planet Earth. The Earth is a very big place, and there's a lot of markets.
This afternoon, the company presented more than $180,000 to villagers from Ra as goodwill payment.
Once this factory starts, that number goes up. What you saw in those checks, by year 3 or 4 of operations, you can add a 0 to that number. It'll be $900,000 or $1 million per year.
We have already done the survey, the proper survey, and what they are waiting for now is actually the long-term lease. So after development lease of 3 years, we will ensure them with a long-term lease.
480 wants to target the premium market and has plans to export water in glass bottles as well as traditional plastic bottles. The company has also revealed that the late Makereta Matemosi, who designed the Fiji Airways Masi symbol, has played a major role in designing their product label. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
Still to come, Monasavu landowners keen to buy shares in FEA.
Wala wala siya matimay, hena gana paro taki na yan robongi kebika na magtomay buga tali tigun na bisere waraki muni na gana paro taki ngo na yan robongi enambula FM nimbola benaka oya wabika na isoro ranyo na tomani mai na vito na kabiki na tini karuwa ng bongi lebo ena gana paro taki sekoya na yan robongi enambula FM enambandua enasere.
The Monasavu Landowners Association is keen to buy shares in Fiji Electricity Authority. Association members met with Permanent Secretary for Finance, Filimone Wangambava, this week to express their interest in the divestment of FEA shares. Watisoni Rakandroka reports.
Monasavu is home to the dam which supplies FEA electricity to mainland Vitilevu. The Landowners Association, which represents 21 land-owning units, is keen to buy shares in FEA once they become available.
The money they give us for the compensation is too small for us. That's why we want to be a part of this FEA, because they make a lot of profits so that we can get more money to do a lot of business and also lots of development up Monasavu.
Association Secretary Samu Konatadi says they want to invest in housing developments, cooperative stores, motels and scholarships for the children of Monasavu. Finance Permanent Secretary Filimoni Wangambada says sought information about the partial divestment of shares announced by government.
They as landowners expressed that they would love or like to be part of the owners of FEA when it's divested. So we said that they will follow that process, and if they feel quite strongly about the need to be participatory in it, then perhaps they could see the Honourable Prime Minister to express their interest.
FEA's partial divestment was realized to meet the long-term goal of energy sector development and enhance private sector participation. This is particularly in renewable energy and to align the Fijian energy sector to international best practices. Watisoni Rikondroka, FBC News.
National security is everyone's responsibility and should be inclusive, and the National Security Review Committee is concerned the increasing access to internet sites will influence minds in Fiji. Akosita Tale reports.
Global terrorism is impacting the world, and Fijians should be aware of the increase in emerging new security threats. The chairman of the National Security Review Committee, Esala Teleni, says this includes the rise in cybercrime, drug trafficking, money laundering and terrorism.
They can copy, they can also use to have a philosopher, the ideas, the ideologies, if they are not happy with government policies, if they are not happy, even in their own village here in Fiji, they can cause disruptions in their own village, in their own community, using terrorist tactics. So that's our concern.
Teleni says this can only be prevented with a sound and effective security policy in place.
Everyone here in Fiji and even our country, and that is really the purpose of trying to come up with a security strategy that will address any security issues.
The National Security Review Committee today presented a progress report on the update of public consultations on the National Security Review. The review is expected to be finalized by August, and then it will be submitted to Parliament. Akosita Talei, FBC News.
A medical professional is advising parents and teachers against children playing a game called Charlie Charlie. Dr. Balram Pandit, a consultant psychiatrist, says the game is addictive and can lead to behavioral problems in adolescence. Edwin Nund reports.
Look at it. The game, which supposedly summons spirits, is popular in many countries, and Fiji is no different.
Demon, is being glamorized, and the children try to associate themselves and at times they are being taken by the glamour of this demon.
The game is mostly played by teenagers. Dr. Balram says this is an age group that is vulnerable to influence, peer pressure, and the game can cause attention-seeking behavior.
At times, in order to gain the attention of the, say, friends or peer group or the, say, family members, they may start harming themselves in order to show some evidence that, hey, see, I was in communication with some demon.
Gospel Primary School in Suva has taken preventative measures after finding out that children were playing Charlie Charlie.
We contacted their parents, we have discussed with them, and also we have taken away some library books from the office, from the library, the goosebumps.
There have been reports of youth hearing voices or seeing things after they've played the game. According to Dr. Balram, these are all psychological effects of the game.
There is no actually reality in this game, so and plus it has got hazardous effects as well, so it would be best to avoid this game.
There have been several tests around the world to bust the Charlie Charlie myth. One website explains the pencils balanced on each other are very precarious, so the slightest wind or movement can cause one or both of the pencils to sway one way or another. A subtle draft or the breath of a superstitious teenager could send the pencils moving. Another website, Racket Report, which is said to have first reported that people were dying after playing the game, has been exposed as a fake news website. FBC News put the game to the test today as an experiment. We didn't film it because we don't want to perpetuate the misplaced hype. We can tell you that there's nothing to it. Edwin Nand, FBC News.
9 men charged for allegedly killing Vilike Sissoko have had their reporting conditions changed after appearing in the Lautoka High Court this morning. The 8 police officers and 1 soldier will now report on the last Saturday of every month to their nearest police station. Their lawyer asked for 14 days to prepare for bail has been extended, and the case has been adjourned for mention to July 3rd. The men allegedly beat robbery suspect Vilike Sissoko to death in August last year. We turn to sports now. Here's Jamie with the latest.
Pinaka Jackie, and good evening. Coming up in sports, Sports Commission hands over $300,000 for Pacific Games squad, and Fasanok President Joe Roden isn't too happy with Fiji volleyball administrators. We'll have the details after the break.
देश की धड़कन रेडियो फीजी 2 का ये प्रसारण आपके लिए कार्यक्रम में आपका स्वागत हम कर रहे हैं। याद रखते हैं अभी से लेकर रात 12 तक यह सिलसिला हमारा और आपका चलता रहेगा। दृष्टिकोण में आपका हम स्वागत कर रहे हैं। दृष्टिकोण के तुरंत बाद आगे बढ़ते हैं कार्यक्रम में। इधर कहते हैं कि गहरी थी रात लेकिन हम सोए नहीं, गहरी थी रात लेकिन हम सोए नहीं, दर्द बहुत था दिल में पर हम रोए नहीं, कोई नहीं हमारा जो पूछे हमसे, जाग रहे हो किसके लिए या किसी के लिए सोए नहीं। याद रखते हैं गीत संगीत का तकाजा आपके लिए रात 12 तक आपको हम सोने नहीं देंगे। महकती रातें हर सोमवार से लेकर शुक्रवार तक रात 7 से लेकर 12 के बीच रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन पर रविंद्र सिंह के साथ।
Only 23 days remain until the opening of the 2015 Pacific Games in Papua New Guinea, and today the 423-member Team Fiji contingent received the boost towards its coffers for the competition. Chalen Daudakadaka has more.
The Fiji Sports Commission handed $300,000 to Team Fiji to cover the expenses and preparation for the Pacific Games. Only last month, the Commission handed over the same amount to officials, and this bodes well in addressing one of government's initiatives.
Government's very aware that this Games in particular has a large number of youth involved, and I'm talking about our young people that have just come out of Coca-Cola and athletics and several of the other sports. And as you know, we are very committed, the Commission, in that, in ensuring that we grow our youth.
Fasanok has set a budget of $2.1 million for the Games to cover airfares, accommodation, among other administrative costs. With the clock winding down to the Games in Port Moresby, Team Fiji still needs another $150,000 to meet these expenses.
The department taxed for 423 people
amounts to about 81,000. We hope that we can get some leeway in that area, and that would be a big help to us if we can get that. The part of tax plays a lot of money, plays a lot of part in the total fund of 2.1 million. But apart from that, we're very, very grateful to the government.
Roden has given his assurance to government as well as the country that Team Fiji will not let them down in the Pacific Games next month. Silent Odakadak, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, Fasanok President Joe Roden says he feels for the Fiji volleyball teams who will not be taking part at the Pacific Games. In a statement released yesterday, it was confirmed that due to certain circumstances, the teams have been forced to pull out. Roden says this is all due to the laxity shown by the administrators.
I feel for the athletes, but the onus is on the administrators, the president, the secretary, those people that run the sports, because a sporting body is like a business. If you don't have good management and you don't get good leaders, the result will be bad.
Meanwhile, when contacted this afternoon, Fiji volleyball president Elesi Ketenromo opted not to comment on the matter. The final countdown to the Rugby World Cup 2015 has begun. The honorary president of England Rugby 2015, Prince Harry, and Rugby World Cup 2003 winners Johnny Wilkinson and Will Greenwood launched the final trophy tour at Twickenham Stadium yesterday. The trophy tour will spend 5 days each in Scotland, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, 10 days in Wales and 75 days in England before arriving at the opening ceremony on September 18th at Twickenham Stadium. On the same evening, the opening match of the World Cup between England and the Vodafone Flying Fijians will be played. More than 50 players have signed up for the Nandi Open tennis tournament. This includes the 7-member squad that will represent Fiji at the Pacific Games next month. This will be the final tournament the national team will compete at before the Games. Josephine Navula has more.
The Fiji Tennis Association is preparing for its next big event on the calendar, the Nandi Open Tennis Tournament.
Seniors, we're covering a lot of seniors and some veterans as well. So this tournament is more of it will have open events, it will have social events, and it's also going to have veteran events, basically men's and ladies both. So we also have a junior events for this, but due to the court constraints we have about 4 tennis courts here. The junior event of the same courts in the Open will be held a bit more later in the year, which is the dates has to be finalized.
The tournament will enable players to showcase their talents against other participants.
The Nandi Open is actually more of a in-depth in the country tournament. So it's like players from Lotoka, Suva, Nandi, and also a few from overseas will participate in this one. Even Lambasa has actually shown interest.
The Nandi Open Tennis Tournament will be held on the 20th and 21st of this month at the Nandi Sports Club. Josephine Navula, FBC Sports.
The Suva football side is shocked with the news of one of its players losing all his belongings in a house fire yesterday. Midfielder Sahil Dave was left homeless after his house caught fire. The association is trying its utmost to help Sahil begin a new life.
We'll be letting know FBC. Soon HFC has, we are in processing in opening the account, and the money collected from that account which will be given to Bobby Dev to build his house.
Meanwhile, investigations continue as to how the fire started. That's it from sports this evening. It's back to Jackie now with business.
Sofitel Fiji Resort and Spa in Nadi will launch the Waitui Beach Club, a newly built leisure concept for adults only, next month. It will have its own pool, champagne bar, restaurant and poolside cabanas. Representing an investment of $3.2 million, the new pool development within the existing resort will be accompanied by 74 designated beach club rooms. Waitui Beach Club will have a focus on health, with complimentary yoga and tai chi in the morning and a healthy breakfast. Construction on the club commenced in February this year. Fine weather prevailed over most parts of the country today. A trough of low pressure remains slow-moving over Solomon Islands and extends eastwards. Another trough of low pressure affects Tokelau, Samoa and southern Cooks. In temperatures, Lombasa had the highest temperature at 33 degrees, while Suva and Savo recorded the lowest at 26 degrees. Forecast for tomorrow, brief showers over the interior and eastern parts of the larger islands. Showers becoming frequent from tomorrow. Elsewhere, fine, moderate to fresh east to southeast winds. And the further outlook, occasional showers over Vanua-Levu, Taveuni, Lau and Lomaiviti group, the eastern parts and interior of the other larger islands. And the main points again. The European Union aims to restore full development cooperation with Fiji. Fiji's Green Growth Framework is part of discussions at the 38th session of the African Caribbean Pacific Parliamentary Assembly, currently underway at the Grand Pacific Hotel in Suva. And the Health Ministry has a response plan to track down the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome MERS virus should it reach our shores. To our poll question this week, we're asking, should primary school students be allowed to use the internet outside of school? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spade. Good night.
Great words there from Lucky Dube and Baban. I hope you enjoyed that number. Different colors just for you. On Gold FM, only the classic hits. Louise with you on the Center Show. Well, thank you so much for the sweet company. This is Alana Miles, one of my favorites, and Black Velvet for you. Hi there. Join me on the Center Show every weekday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the best sounds on Gold FM. Only the classic hits.